Well, how can I start? So I'm a former diplomat turned AI governance expert. I've worked in Congress. Um, I've worked in the federal government. I've worked in big tech. So I have, and I hope to go a little bit more into it during our conversation today. Yeah. So I'm not a techie, right? I'm not a technical person. I was a, foreign service officer, aka diplomat. But my experience was very valuable when I was transitioning into tech. I transitioned into this role, which was a program management role, senior program manager at Meta, and it was in their civic integrity team. And all of my, knowledge about geopolitical issues, about being organized, about teaching others, training others. That was valuable, and that was very useful for me to move on to that role. So now that AI is going to touch on everything and anything in every industry, you don't need to be the coder out there. You don't need to be the data scientist. You need to know how AI is going to affect your industry and make sure you become the subject matter expert in that. And then you go out there and build in public, show your knowledge, learn in public, so that when people are confronted with certain issues, they come to you as the expert. And that's one of the ways that I position myself in that as an expert in AI governance. It was by learning in public as well. So for example, when I transitioned from Meta, I had worked with the team that built the content moderation algorithm, and that's before ChatGPT came out. So AI was not like the hot thing, but I was able to bring in all the aspects of AI. So knowing about data, and about data governance, and about data privacy, knowing a little bit about algorithms and the trade-offs that you have to confront when you're using an algorithm, knowing about transparency, knowing about accountability. What happens if something goes wrong? Who's responsible for a bad decision that an algorithm makes? So it's not just AI, and like it's not this narrow thing. It's There's so much that goes into it. So for example, I was talking today to someone who is an AI lawyer. And then when I continue talking to her, how do you become an AI lawyer? That means she was in privacy, and then cybersecurity, and then data, and data governance. And that's how you become an AI lawyer, because you know the foundations of AI. You know all of these things that go into AI, and then you become an AI lawyer. So no one is going to school for AI. No one is, no one is going to law school to be an AI lawyer, right? Well, in the future, I think they're going to start offering that. But the AI lawyers right now, they didn't go to law school to be an AI lawyer, right? So I would say work with what you have, and learn how AI is going to affect your industry. Mhm, 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 mhm. Yeah. Where do people start? I think that's easy and hard to answer. Start on YouTube. Start on YouTube. There's so much free information out there. I subscribe to YouTube. I'm a premium subscriber, and I learned so much. I spend all my gym time on YouTube learning, learning how to build AI agents. But if you're just starting, start with the basics. How to prompt. And one tip that I have is when you're prompting whatever LLM you choose, use the template co-star. Co-star, literally co-star, and that is context, describe the situation and why it matters. Objective, you tell ChatGPT success looks like this. Style, give it a style. You want to be the tone to be friendly, to be unfriendly, authoritative. You want it to be bold, whatever style you want. Yeah, yeah. And on the style, if you want, feed it some of your own written posts or essays or blogs so that it can learn. Then move on to task. Here's what you need to do. Here's what I want you to do. Audience, tell them who your audience is. And finally, our requirements. You tell ChatGPT, these elements are non negotiable. So you tell them, like, it's non negotiable, whatever you want to see, right? So co-star, that's a good template. It's easy to remember. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Right, right. Okay, okay. I mean, so yeah, so for example, LLMs, large language models, that's your ChatGPT, that's your Claude algorithm. What is an algorithm? It's like an automated decision making tool. Um, what is machine learning? Is you talk about reinforcement learning. You're teaching a machine to learn things. I mean, I'm being really yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I say start on YouTube because depending on how you search, you get the most basic um, teachings out there, or you can get the most advanced. Personally, I'm a little bit on the advanced, whereas I'm already like trying to build AI agents. So that's why I'm like rattling off acronyms. But seriously, so that's basically building automation workflows. So literally, that's like having a good intern that goes and do as they're told using things like LLMs. So you trigger it. Let's say on a Wednesday night at 7 p.m., you're going to do this, and it actually goes and does that. So it's really exciting. I'm building those things, and I am so excited to learn and do and build. And the good thing about AI is that there's no stopping point. Like, oh, look, I learned AI. Wow. No, you're always learning because the technology just moves so fast. That's a good question. That's a good question. Is that yeah. Well, I kind of alluded to it earlier when I said that AI is not this thing. It's like there's so much that goes into it. So, for example, data, automated decision making that is going to affect and impact people's lives. So there's a danger of data leakage. So, if you put uh, bad data, biased data in, you're probably going to get biased outputs. So that's a biased output that will make a decision for someone's life. Let's say whether or not someone gets a medical treatment approved or a medical payout approved. That's life or death. So there's that. So you want to make sure that your algorithms are unbiased and that maybe there's a human in the loop, meaning there's a human supervising the algorithms. So then there's the data privacy, there's the cybersecurity aspects to it. Now that there's so many more people online, so many more devices connected, and now we have this exciting chat GPT that we can talk to. The bad actors are always going to be out there, and they have these tools that we're using to learn and to get ahead. They're also using them. So keep in mind cybersecurity. For example, deep fakes. I Yeah, it's basically a fake video of someone, right? So someone can use my face, my likeness, and build a video and say things using my voice and say things that I didn't say or I didn't do or place me somewhere where I was not. And the technology is so good these days that most people can't tell. Even I can't tell certain videos, certain images. One of the things that is most concerning to me as a client of a bank that uses my voice to authenticate me and my credentials is that you can easily clone my voice and use that to get into my bank account. So that's terrifying. So there yeah, so anything that was happening before, like spam and, fake calls and fake videos, now think of it like supercharged, like 100x. So there's a lot of concerns about safety and data privacy and cybersecurity concerns. So that is absolutely out there, and you should definitely be educated on that. Okay, so I like to keep it real. Um, I think AI is going to take a lot of jobs. I think AI is going to automate a lot of jobs and tasks. Okay. So I'm not going to, paint an overly rosy picture. I also do believe that, and I've done a lot of research and asked many people about this. Is it going to create jobs as well? And I think the answer is yes. It's going to create a lot of jobs. So, for example, I was talking to someone that is now, she was a product manager before, and now she's an AI product manager. And, her job now involves so many more things apart from being a product manager. And I asked her, well, do you think AI is going to take your product manager job? And she said, it's going to transform my job because now I have more things to be mindful of, right? But it's not going to, take it away completely. It's just going to transform it. So I think there's going to be destruction, but there's also going to be creation. There's going to be job creation. There are jobs that we still don't know the titles of. Like what is an AI? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I didn't know that I was going to be an AI governance specialist even 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and I did not go to school for AI governance. So, there's jobs that are going to be taken away, that's for sure, but there's also going to be job creation thanks to AI. Mm, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I think we on LinkedIn are a little, I'm in a little bit of a bubble where everything that I see is AI, AI. And so if you go from that, you think that everyone is an AI expert because everyone has, changed their headlines to reflect AI. But it's not true. It's not true. We're in a little bit of a bubble. I know, but there's so many people out there that are scared, like you said, and they just want to do their job and not be bothered and just leave AI to someone else. I don't think that's a good approach right now. I think you should understand how AI is going to affect your job and your industry. If you're a teacher, whether you're a nurse or you're an accountant, like AI is going to touch your field. So why not learn about it and leverage it to your own, for your own advantage? Not only that, if you become the expert, and when I say expert, I expert means you know more than the next person, the next two people, right? You know more than your coworkers. So, right. So just by learning, yeah, just by using your 1 hour of running to learn about AI, like start with the basics, keep going until you understand the terminology and until you know how to prompt well. Um, and then you're kind of like ahead of your peers, especially in more traditional industries, because not every industry is tech, and we tend to just think that tech is everything. It's not. There are many other traditional industries that don't move as fast. And so if you're in one of those, I think you're not too late. I think you could probably be one of the first ones out there. Mm. Oh yeah. Yeah. So in terms of building your resume, I would say keep it mix. Like, don't let AI build your entire resume because it tends to exaggerate, and it's like you want to keep control over that. But I think the shame of using AI has dissipated quite a bit. At the beginning, it was like, oh no, I didn't use AI. Now everyone is like, yeah, I use AI to do this and to do that. So no shame in that. I think one of the best strategies is to build in public. So use LinkedIn, use whatever social media you are good at or you have an audience in, and build in public. Like, oh, look, I use AI to transform my elevator pitch. I used AI to build this automation workflow where I get to see the jobs that were published within the last 24 hours. Or I use AI to do this, to plan my trip. And so that shows fluency because recruiters are, as you know, recruiters only have like 7 seconds to, if that, to see your resume. And if you have it in like a line there, like halfway through the page, he or she is probably not going to see what you did. But if you're all out there on LinkedIn or on TikTok or on YouTube, showing what you're building, showing what you're learning, and you're having people like look at you and follow you and comment, I think that shows that you're actually using these tools, you are leveraging them, and that you can do the same at work. Mm, mm, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that's such a good point that you brought up because I was in that camp, in the negative camp, like the pessimistic camp. And I've had an evolution myself that I'm surprised how optimistic I feel right now. Whether or not it's going to take your job and take over the world, I mean, let it, right? Let it. But in the meantime, exactly, exactly. But in the meantime, like leverage it, have fun with it. I am personally like, using all the tools that I can. I mean, it can be a little bit overwhelming, right? There's a lot out there, but pick three, and like, I would go with an LLM, like whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, they're all good. I love Notebook LM from Google. It's amazing. I love it. Yeah. So the and then for automation workflows slash AI agents, Zapier, it's really good. So those are my three. Like you can't keep up with all of the tools, and you can't. Just mhm. Yeah, yeah, yes. Yeah, tell me about it. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. But at the same time, if you look at it as an investment, it's also like a good investment. You have to put some money down, right? You have to pay a deposit, but then it builds up, right? Like remember, and now that ChatGPT has this feature where it can remember conversations, it's up to you if you want to let it, remember those conversations. It's a personal decision. But I think it's for someone who is okay with that, I think it's great. Like it draws from those conversations you had maybe 2 3 weeks ago, and it kind of understands. It's like you're talking to a person. It's creepy in a way, but Mhm, 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 mhm. Yeah, 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 so I want to actually before I answer that, I wanna go I want to go back and because you mentioned how can people learn more, and I said YouTube, but I just thought of all of the free certs and courses that the big tech companies like Google, Microsoft, IBM offer. There's AI for Everyone, which I took, and it's a little bit out. Like it's been out for like a few years now, so maybe you that's your very basic, but you have to do more to keep up. But there's a ton, and OpenAI also OpenAI Academy. So there's a ton of resources out there. They're mostly free. If you want a little bit more advanced and you want more accountability, there's some paid ones as well, but there's also free, free resources out there. And I also wanted to add to what you said when you said there's job titles that you haven't even thought of. That's a great prompt. I'm going to use it for myself. But I'm also going to say there's never been a better time to open a business. So ask the same prompt and say, consultancies or businesses that I could open and be a one person business with my expertise. So, think about that as well. You can build a landing page uh, for free. You can build a website. You can open a podcast. You can do a YouTube channel. You can do consultancies. Like, there's so much you can do. So you can ask ChatGPT, like, help me explore, help me brainstorm. Because sometimes we're like, oh my God, I was a senior program manager, and now I have to be a senior program manager at another company. And it doesn't have to be that. And and the reality is that, companies are not hiring as much. I don't know if you saw the memo from the CEO of Shopify. Um, well, he didn't say it quite as well, but no, he said that people are going to have to justify hiring a human. They have to say, why can't AI do this work that you're going to hire a human for? That's insane. And that's the CEO of Shopify, which is not a big tech company, but it's a pretty innovative and well known company. Yeah. Yeah, and if he's saying it, imagine what other CEOs are thinking, right? And they're not investing all this money for nothing. They want their return, right? So I think we should start thinking about those things. Like there's not that many jobs anymore, unfortunately. So what can I do with the skills that I have? And I think, there's one creator, his name is Dan Coe, who says that everyone has $1 million business in between their eyes, something like that. I don't know if everyone has it, but I think at least 10% of us have that. So yeah, exactly. Mhm, 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 mhm. Yeah, Mhm. Mm, mm, mhm, mhm, mm, 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 mhm. I see. Yeah, so and I wanna go back to your question for and you said, like, what are some of the skills that people can put out there, right? And we talked about using the tools and all that, but there's some other that I would like to highlight. Yes. Yeah, and these are from conversations with people that are that are building AI tools and that are building businesses. And one is resourcefulness. So we are in a difficult climate, in an environment, in a difficult macro environment where people are the consumer confidence is dropping every day. So companies are hesitant. So show how you can work with what they already have without asking for more. So I think that's one thing. Another thing is showing that you're a fast learner. So you learn things fast, and AI has made it so I think easier, I think, to learn things, right? You can say, "You're my teacher. You're going to teach me like I'm a 10-year-old how to do this and then." And I've used it that way before, and it's really helpful. And another one that a friend of mine who's building AI agents, he told me human computer interaction. So how you interact with I wouldn't say computers right now, but I would say how you interact with AI. And I think that's going to be one of these soft skills that are up there with communications and stakeholder management. Like, how are you managing AI? How are you getting along with it? How are you using it and leveraging it? So that's one new thing. And the last one is implementation. So, and that's where a lot of people, including myself, like it's hard because you have all this information and you have all this motivation and you have all this funds that were free for you to do it. Now we have to implement and execute. So I think that's a hard one, but it's also one that shows that you can still take projects from 0 to 1, that you can still get things done from ideation all the way to execution. And I think that is not going to go away anytime soon, because in a world where AI can do almost everything, the only last thing that we humans can do is show like the execution part, because AI still can't come out of the computer and do it itself. But I think that's one of the soft skills that we should work on. I do too. Yeah, yeah. That's very important. Yeah. Yeah, you can go down a rabbit. Yeah, yeah, and you're still gonna have to do, like, ruthless prioritization and time management for yourself and learning when to stop, right? Because you can go down a rabbit hole with AI. So, there's a lot of self-managing and also managing your team and managing AI. Well, I live rent free on LinkedIn, but I'm also a YouTuber. I'm a YouTuber. I have a YouTube channel where I talk about AI and discuss the future of work with people that are leading in their industry in tech mostly. And I also have a coaching practice. I have a website where I help people transition mostly from the public sector to the private sector because I'm a former public servant. Um, so those three places. I'm not on TikTok yet, but LinkedIn and YouTube are my platforms. I love it. Right. Yeah, I am. I can talk about this all day. Facebook. Okay, Facebook. Okay. Thank you. Bye.